Hi everyone, thanks for being with me today. I have been watching a video by Paul Murray on Sky News, which I thought I'd at least share with you, because this is another example whereby Sky News, right-wing media, are a little distressed, I think, by the amount of coverage that Anthony Albanese is getting. So they make this effort to be able to criticise everything that Albo does. And in this particular instance, they're criticising the amount of media coverage that he gets. And they're going back over time and having a look at the things that he might have done. For example, the Australian Open and the amount of time he spent there versus the amount of time that he spent in Alice Springs. And recently he did a trip up to Alice Springs in the Northern Territory, and that sent them into a dither. What in the hell are they going to do with all this publicity that he's getting? And so their overall criticism is that politicians themselves are interested in coverage. Well, no surprise about any of that. That's exactly what politicians do. And Albo seems to be particularly good at it. But so that creates a problem for them. Why is it that Albanese is getting the coverage that he is? So the best they can do is find a way to criticise him. So here we have Paul Murray offering his take on what's happening in relation to Albanese and the coverage that he's getting. Now, this reminds me of a situation whereby they have no other things to talk about, that Albo isn't necessarily doing anything that's extremely controversial. So apart from the change to the Constitution and the yes vote, so they're trying to focus on these other areas, these inconsequential, stupid areas that are actually not relevant at all and mean nothing to the general population. But nevertheless, for them, it is an issue because he's getting a lot more coverage than what they would like. So we'll just play a little bit of what Paul Murray has to say about all of this, and we'll talk about it as we go through it.
May Day rallies, public holiday in Queensland today for the union movement. Solidarity forever, especially when it comes to union wages over at the ABC. Now, of course, remember, the Voice is not political, but here they were pushing the political stuff in and around the Voice. Now, all of this was in the...
I like that. The Voice is not political. Of course it's political. One side saying yes to it and the other side saying no. It is political.
Reaction to the Prime Minister being at Kyle Sandilands' wedding. Now, I will be honest about what I said last night, and I stand by it tonight. I don't care that he went to the wedding.
I like the way Paul Murray decides he's going to be honest. It's about bloody time. And the fact that he likes Kyle Sanderson is beyond me. And the fact that Albo attended his wedding is also kind of beyond me. I don't know why you would, but that's what they do. If a celebrity gets married or has a baby or whatever, you've got to be there, or whether they get divorced. So here he is saying, well, I'm a friend of Kyle's, so I kind of understand why he was there. I don't know whether Paul Murray himself was there, but nevertheless, he kind of has to be okay with Albo being there because, he's a friend.
There's a long history of this stuff in Sydney and politicians turning up to radio and TV people's things, and I love Kyle. Kyle loves this show, so we love Kyle.
Oh,
so that's not really my issue. But after there was comparisons to, hang on, he spent 9 hours at the wedding versus 4 hours in Alice Springs, guess what was hastily arranged this afternoon? A trip to the Northern Territory, one that...
So the assumption that it was hastily arranged is not necessarily true. You just don't book an RAAF aeroplane and fly out in a moment's notice. Those things have to be planned. So this notion that for some reason, according to Paul Murray, it was hastily arranged is probably not true.
You didn't really hear about. Why? Because, I can tell you, this was quick. He landed at 4:30 this afternoon. He was out by 7 o'clock. There was a warning that went out to the media that he would be doing something at about 3 o'clock this afternoon for 5 o'clock local time. All of this done nice and quick, so the pictures would get out, but no hard questions would be there. Now, you would notice that despite the fact that there was a little funding announcement here, a couple of other photos showed much of his time was not actually spent meeting with Indigenous elders or trying to find a way to get the Lord Mayor of Alice Springs to take the trip, well and truly long trip, up the road to Darwin. No, instead he was on the cans with the Labor mates inside central Darwin.
Now, this is not really good reporting because basically we don't know what Albanese was, whether he was hanging around with his union mates or not. And at the end of the day, who cares? I don't know the reason why he was in Alice Springs. It may have been to have a conversation with Indigenous people about the strife that is occurring in the Alice. Don't know why he went to the Northern Territory generally or to Darwin. There was an announcement. I'm not sure what that is. I'm sure that there was a purpose. There was a reason why Albanese went to the Northern Territory. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is very little news that's associated with Albo and his travelling arrangements. However, Sky News are trying desperately to paint this picture of this man who has become obsessed with photo opportunities and with celebrities. And they do point out a little bit later in the video that, he had a meeting with Barack Obama. He has had meetings with Bill Gates. I mean, these are important people in the world, so why wouldn't you have a meeting with them? But for some reason, according to Sky News, that is inappropriate. So, if it's inappropriate according to Sky News, then I guess it's something that you should not be doing, because they should be setting the agenda for the Prime Minister, not the Prime Minister setting the agenda for himself. So the issue for me is that they need to find something. They need to generate some sort of controversy around Albo, and the only way they can generate that controversy is by talking about the number of photo opportunities he has and where he is going, and whether or not that is productive from their perspective. So let us know what you think about, about prime ministers meeting celebrities, about going out and generally just chatting to people generally, and who knows whether they're Labor people or where they're coming from. So the issue is that it seems to me that Sky News is sort of saying, well, he's now elevated himself to a position whereby he's excluding all the also-rans, the everyday type of people, because he's hanging out with these celebrities and others. So Albo, from their perspective, is not doing his job because he's not hanging out with the sort of people that Albo should be hanging out with. Now, we don't know that for sure. None of us do, but this is Sky News doing what Sky News do the best, which is lying about most things and trying to create something out of nothing. So let me know what you think. If you wish to contact me, you can do so here at this email address. Love to hear from you. And look, could you please subscribe and ring the bell for further notifications? That would be fabulous as well. Take care, everybody. Look after yourselves and be safe.